This fight over the president's tariffs continues to work its way through the courts. One question on the minds of business owners around the world is, well, what about my money? The U.S. has brought in more than $68 billion in tariffs this year. That's a nearly 80% increase through the same period last year. And much of that added cost has already been passed down to you, the shopper. NewsNation's Alicia Nieves is live outside the New York Stock Exchange once again for us this morning. So, Alicia, what's going to happen to all that money if the ruling blocking those tariffs is confirmed on appeal?
Yeah, Markie, that is a multi-billion-dollar question. It's actually still not 100% clear, but what we do know, based on that original court ruling on Wednesday, the judges suggested that any of the companies that paid the tariffs at the ports when they received goods, they should get a refund, and that they should get it with interest on top of that. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars that have been collected since April 2nd, when tariffs actually initially went into place. And so, based on the court's ruling, again, if it is upheld, this could mean that the government has to pay back some $13+ billion. We've actually reached out to several experts who say this is uncharted territory. The most likely scenario, again, if the court's initial ruling is upheld, is that companies and retailers who paid the tariffs, again, when the goods were imported or received at the port and when they arrive to the U.S., they're going to get refunded the money they pay. But there is no obligation to pass that refund onto the consumer, which, as you wisely pointed out, many companies have come out over the last couple of weeks and said they have had to pass the cost of tariffs onto the consumer. And so, companies could potentially, in theory, eventually say they'll refund, but that's going to be a really tricky process to refund individual consumers the portion that they potentially paid on tariffs. Very unlikely that's going to happen. The more likely scenario, again, is that you're going to have companies that get billions of dollars in refunds after already collecting potentially millions to billions of dollars from consumers on the tariffs, the price increase from the tariffs. And the only one that ends up losing is the little guy, you, me, the consumer, potentially here, Markie.
Yeah, and that's a big question. What about all the extra money, that we just forked over when the tariffs were put in place? So just about an hour or so till opening bell here. How are the markets reacting to this back and forth over the president's tariff policy?
We have continued to describe the financial markets around tariffs as a roller coaster ride, and that roller coaster ride continues this morning. Remember yesterday when that news came out that the government was going to have to halt tariffs because of the initial ruling on Wednesday, markets popped up markedly higher. They ended up closing higher. But now the appellate court decision that came down late yesterday has pulled back markets, erasing some of the upside that we saw yesterday. You've got the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P 500. They're all lower, just fractionally, but looking to kind of stay in this lower place right now, if not, continue to go lower throughout the morning as the markets continue to digest the fact that the reality is the Trump administration, as was pointed out a moment ago, is looking to maintain these tariffs. Even if the appellate court rules against them, they're going to find other ways around this. So unless there's some good news in terms of a deal being made, likely that markets are going to open to the close, open to the downside, and stay there throughout the session today, Markie.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.